Hush now, little one, and nestle down deep, deep into your cozy bed. Close your eyes just softly, like a butterfly folding its wings for the night. Imagine a tiny golden key warm in your hand, a key to a very special gate. This gate isn't made of wood or iron, oh no. It's woven from moonbeams and stardust, shimmering softly at the very edge of wakefulness. And as you hold this key, you feel a gentle invitation, a whisper on the breeze, calling you to step through into a world painted with the softest colors of dreams. It's a place where every sound is a lullaby, and every sight is a gentle wonder, waiting just for you. Take a soft, slow breath in, and let it out like a sigh, letting all your busy thoughts float away like tiny, fluffy clouds. You are safe, you are warm, and a story is waiting, like a gentle dream, to carry you into a peaceful sleep. Let the starlight from the gateway twinkle and guide you into the quiet, magical world of tonight's story, in a meadow bathed in the gentle glow of a sleepy moon, where the grass was as soft as velvet, and the flowers whispered secrets to the night breeze, lived a little shadow. This wasn't just any shadow. It was a lost shadow, small and quiet, and it had somehow become separated from its very sleepy owner. It drifted like a fallen leaf, a soft, gray shape against the moon-kissed grass, feeling a little bit wobbly and unsure. The world felt very big and very hushed, without its familiar person to follow. The shadow missed the comforting rhythm of footsteps it knew so well, the gentle rise and fall of a soft breath in sleep. It longed for the warmth of its own special place, tucked beside someone dear. Nearby, in a cozy nook beneath the roots of an ancient, sleepy oak tree, curled shade, a cat whose fur was the color of twilight, and whose movements were as silent as a passing thought. Shade's eyes, like two polished emeralds, blinked open slowly, observing the gentle dance of the lost shadow. Shade was a creature of the quiet hours, a guardian of the night's soft mysteries, and her heart, though quiet, was full of kindness. She watched the little shadow with a gentle curiosity, her tail giving a slow, thoughtful swish against the mossy earth. The air was filled with the sweet, faint scent of night-blooming jasmine, and the distant sound of a dreaming stream murmured a soft lullaby. The lost shadow quivered just a little, like a moonbeam on water, wishing for home. Shade rose, stretching languidly, each movement a silent poem. She approached the lost shadow with steps so light they barely disturbed a single dewdrop on the blades of grass. "Little one," she murmured, her voice like the softest rustle of leaves, "you seem to be looking for something, or perhaps someone." The lost shadow huddled a little closer to the ground, its edges trembling. It couldn't speak in words, of course, but Shade understood the language of lost things, the silent wishes that floated on the night air. She could feel its longing, a gentle ache that resonated with the quietness of her own heart. "Don't you worry," Shade whispered, nuzzling the air near the shadow very gently. "In this meadow, kindness blooms like the evening primrose, and friends are always near. Just then, a tiny rustle came from a nearby patch of clover. Out popped Pip, a tiny field mouse with bright, curious eyes and a twitching nose. Pip was a collector of lost buttons, each one a tiny treasure with its own story. He carried a particularly shiny mother-of-pearl button in his paws, admiring its soft gleam in the moonlight. He spotted Shade and the little Lost Shadow, and his whiskers twitched with gentle concern. Pip was small, but his heart was as big as the moon that smiled down on them. He scurried closer, his tiny feet making almost no sound on the soft earth. The air was cool and sweet, and the stars above seemed to lean in, listening. Pip, with his bright, kind eyes, looked from Shade to the trembling little Shadow. "Oh my," he squeaked softly, his voice as tiny as a falling petal. "Is this little Shadow lost, Shade?" Shade nodded slowly, her green eyes full of gentle understanding. "I believe so, Pip. It seems to have wandered away from its sleepy owner." The Lost Shadow stretched a little towards Pip, as if sensing his warm heart. Pip held up his shiny button. "Sometimes," he said thoughtfully, "when things are lost, a little bit of shimmer can help them feel hopeful." This button caught a moonbeam just so. Perhaps the little Shadow would like to see it shine. He tilted the button, and it sent a tiny, soft sparkle towards the Shadow. The Shadow seemed to grow a little steadier, its edges less wobbly. It was a small comfort, but in the quiet of the night, small comforts felt wonderfully big. "That's a lovely thought, Pip," Shade purred, her voice a low rumble of contentment. "We should help this little Shadow find its way back. The night is soft and kind, but everyone feels best when they are home, tucked in tight." Pip nodded eagerly, his tiny chest puffing out with a sense of gentle purpose. "I can help look. My eyes are good for spotting tiny things, like lost paths and sleepy doorways." And so, the quiet cat and the tiny mouse, with the little Lost Shadow drifting softly between them, decided to begin their gentle search. The moon, like a kindly guardian, watched over them, its light soft and reassuring. Their journey began, a slow and quiet procession through the moon-dappled meadow. Shade led the way, her paws padding silently, her senses alert to the faintest whispers of the night. Pip scurried alongside, his button held carefully, occasionally offering its soft gleam to the little Shadow, who followed them with a newfound sense of hope. The air was growing cooler, carrying the faint, sweet scent of damp earth and distant pine trees, a fragrance that spoke of deep, restful slumber. As they neared the edge of the meadow, where a little path wound its way into a hushed woodland, they saw a gentle movement. It was Dusty, a rabbit with fur as soft and gray as twilight mist. Dusty was very carefully sweeping the path with a bundle of soft ferns, clearing away fallen leaves and tiny twigs, so that moonbeams could lie undisturbed and guide sleepy travelers. Dusty had a kind, gentle face and long, velvety ears that twitched as he worked. He hummed a soft, wordless tune, a melody that sounded like the gentle breathing of the sleeping earth. He looked up and saw Shade, Pip, and the little lost shadow approaching. His sweeping paused, and a warm, welcoming look filled his soft brown eyes. He knew all the quiet creatures of the night, and his heart was always open to those in need of a little help or comfort. The forest ahead looked like a soft, dark blanket, inviting and peaceful, and the path Dusty was clearing seemed to shimmer with a gentle light. "Good evening, Dusty," Shade greeted him softly, her voice blending with the quiet sounds of the night. "We have a little friend here who seems to have lost its way." Dusty leaned on his fern broom, his nose twitching gently as he looked at the lost shadow. "Oh, the poor dear," he said, his voice as soft as dandelion fluff. "A lost shadow is a lonely thing indeed. The moonbeams are especially bright tonight. Perhaps they can help." He gestured down the path he had been sweeping. "I've been clearing the way so Glimmer can see better. She'll be shining soon, I think." Just as he spoke, a tiny, shy light began to twinkle high above them, nestled amongst the leaves of the tall trees at the woodland's edge. It was Glimmer, a small star who was usually too timid to shine brightly, but who had a special fondness for quiet sleepers and lost little ones. Her light was a soft, silvery blue, like a tiny drop of moonlight caught in the branches. Glimmer saw the group below, Shade's calm presence, Pip's earnest face, Dusty's gentle concern, and the faint, hopeful shape of the lost shadow. Her light pulsed a little brighter, a shy greeting. The lost shadow seemed to lift a little, drawn towards that gentle, beckoning light. It felt like a promise, a tiny beacon in the vast, quiet night, showing that even in darkness, there was always a soft light to guide the way home. Dusty smiled. There she is. Glimmer knows all the secret, sleepy paths. Glimmer's light, though soft, was wonderfully clear in the deepening twilight of the woods. It wasn't a dazzling brightness, but a gentle, knowing glow that seemed to understand the need for quiet and calm. "Little star," Shade called up softly, her voice carrying like a gentle breeze, "can you help us guide this lost shadow home? It misses its sleepy owner very much." Glimmer twinkled a response, a soft flicker that meant yes. Her light shifted, focusing a gentle beam onto the path that Dusty had so carefully swept. It illuminated tiny, almost invisible things: the delicate veins on a fallen leaf, the sparkle of dew on a spider's silk, the soft green of moss growing on a stone. These were the quiet wonders of the night, usually unseen, but now revealed in Glimmer's gentle radiance. The lost shadow drifted towards the light, feeling a sense of comfort and direction it hadn't felt since it became separated. Pip, still holding his button, looked up at Glimmer with admiration. "Your light is so pretty, Glimmer," he whispered. Glimmer seemed to glow a little warmer at his words. Dusty nodded in agreement. She always knows the quietest ways, the paths that lead to peaceful dreams. And so, with Glimmer's soft light leading them, and Dusty's freshly swept path beneath their feet, the little group ventured into the whispering woods, their hearts full of gentle hope. The air in the woods was cool and smelled of pine needles and damp earth, a scent that made eyelids feel just a little bit heavier. The journey continued deeper into the woods, but it was not a scary woods. It was a soft, slumbering place. Glimmer's light danced ahead, a tiny, friendly beacon, showing them the way. The path, thanks to Dusty's earlier efforts, was smooth and easy to follow. Moonbeams filtered down through the canopy of leaves, creating shifting patterns of silver and shadow on the forest floor. Like a gently moving quilt, Shade walked with her usual grace, her emerald eyes scanning the surroundings, not for danger, but for any sign that might help them. Pip trotted along, his little nose twitching, taking in all the soft night scents, the rich aroma of decaying leaves, the sweet perfume of hidden wildflowers, and the clean, fresh smell of the dew settling on everything. The Lost Shadow floated along, feeling much calmer now, surrounded by its kind, new friends. It felt the gentle pull of Glimmer's light and the reassuring presence of Shade, Pip, and Dusty. Occasionally, Pip would hold up his pearl button, and it would catch a stray moonbeam or a flicker from Glimmer, sending a tiny, comforting spark back to the shadow. They passed by sleepy ferns, curled up tight for the night, and trees whose leaves whispered soft, rustling lullabies as the breeze sighed through them. The sounds of the woods were all gentle. The distant hoot of a sleepy owl, the chirp of a cricket settling down, the almost inaudible patter of tiny night creatures going about their quiet business. It was a world hushed and at peace, a perfect place for a gentle journey. As they walked, Glimmer's light paused, hovering over a patch of moss at the base of an old, gnarled tree. The moss glowed with a faint, ethereal light of its own, a soft, greenish luminescence that pulsed gently like a sleeping heartbeat. "Oh, look," Pip whispered, his eyes wide with wonder. "The moss is shining." Shade approached it cautiously, then purred softly. "This is sleepy moss," she explained. "It only glows when the world is very, very quiet and peaceful, and when little ones are dreaming sweet dreams nearby." The Lost Shadow drifted closer to the glowing moss, and its own form seemed to shimmer a little in response, as if absorbing some of that peaceful, sleepy energy. Dusty smiled his gentle rabbit smile. "This is a good sign," he murmured. "It means we are going in a direction where sleep is deep and restful." Glimmer twinkled her agreement. Then her light moved onward, leading them past the glowing moss. They followed, feeling the serene magic of the woods wrapping around them like a soft, warm blanket. Further along the path, they saw tiny flowers, no bigger than Pip's littlest toe, that were closed up for the night. But as Glimmer's light touched them, they seemed to sigh softly, and a faint, sweet fragrance, like lavender and honey, drifted into the air. It was a scent that made you want to take a deep, slow breath and let your shoulders relax completely. The Lost Shadow seemed to breathe it in, its form becoming even softer and more diffused, as if it were already beginning to dream. Glimmer's light then settled on something small and soft lying just at the edge of the path. It was a tiny knitted bootie, the color of a summer sky, with a little ribbon that had come undone. Pip, with his keen eyes for small, lost things, scurried forward. "Look," he squeaked softly. "A little bootie. Perhaps the sleepy owner of our shadow friend dropped this." Shade came closer and sniffed it gently. Her whiskers twitched. "It smells very faintly of warm milk and sleepy cuddles," she purred. "And yes, it feels familiar to our little shadow." The lost shadow drifted towards the tiny bootie, hovering over it for a moment. Its form seemed to swirl, and a faint, almost invisible tendril reached out and gently touched the soft wool. There was a tiny sigh, not of sadness, but of recognition, a soft whisper of memory. This bootie belonged to its person, its dear, sleepy owner. A wave of warmth and longing, gentle and sweet, pulsed from the shadow. It now knew, with a quiet certainty, that home was not impossibly far away. Dusty's ears drooped sympathetically. Ah, the poor little owner must be missing this bootie, and their little shadow too, he said softly. "We must be getting closer." Glimmer's light shone steadily on the bootie for a moment, as if memorizing its gentle essence, then pulsed once, twice, and moved on, guiding them with renewed purpose. The path ahead seemed to grow even softer underfoot, carpeted with fallen pine needles that hushed their steps. They were now entering a part of the woods where the trees grew very tall, their branches interlacing high above like the fingers of gentle giants, creating a leafy canopy that filtered the moonlight into a soft, diffused glow. It was like walking through a hushed, green cathedral. The air was very still here, and the silence was deep and comforting, broken only by the faintest whisper of the leaves far overhead, a sound like the distant ocean. The scent of pine was stronger now, clean and calming, mingling with the earthy aroma of mushrooms and damp soil. It was the kind of place where thoughts slowed down and worries melted away like mist in the morning sun. Shade moved with an almost dreamlike slowness, her body low to the ground, her steps making no sound at all. Pip, usually so quick and darting, now walked with careful, tiny steps, as if not wanting to disturb the profound peace of this place. Dusty's fern broom trailed silently behind him. The lost shadow floated serenely, its earlier anxieties all but gone, replaced by a quiet anticipation. It felt safe, surrounded by its kind companions and the deep tranquility of the ancient woods. Glimmer's light, a soft, steady pearl in the green dimness, led them onward, weaving a path through the sleeping trees. Every so often, a single leaf would detach itself from a high branch and drift slowly, slowly down, twirling in the still air like a silent ballerina before settling softly on the forest floor. Suddenly, a very faint sound drifted through the trees, so soft it was almost part of the silence. It was a tiny, musical sigh, followed by a gentle, rhythmic hum, like a bumblebee dreaming in a flower. The lost shadow, which had been drifting along peacefully, quivered and stopped. Its form, which had been diffuse and soft, seemed to sharpen just a little, as if listening intently. It turned slightly, its upper edge tilting, as if trying to catch the sound more clearly. Shade paused, her ears swiveling. Pip stopped, his head cocked to one side. Dusty stood very still, his nose twitching. Glimmer's light held steady, illuminating the listening shadow. The sound came again, a tiny, contented murmur, the sound of someone deeply asleep and dreaming happy dreams. It was a sound intimately familiar to the lost shadow, a sound that spoke of warmth and safety and belonging. It was the sound of its sleepy owner. A gentle tremor went through the shadow, a ripple of pure recognition and longing. It wasn't a sad feeling anymore, but a hopeful, eager pull, like a tide turning towards its beloved shore. It knew, with every particle of its shadowy being, that it was very, very close to home. The friends watched, their hearts touched by the shadow's silent, heartfelt reaction. The forest seemed to hold its breath, sharing the tender moment. Shade moved closer to the little shadow, offering a silent comfort with her presence. "That sounds like a very happy, sleepy sound," she purred, her voice barely a whisper. "Is that the sound you've been listening for, little one?" The shadow pulsed gently, a soft yes that needed no words. Pip reached out a tiny paw and very gently patted the air where the edge of the shadow rested. "You'll be home soon," he squeaked reassuringly, his shiny button glinting softly. "Glimmer will lead us right there." Dusty nodded, his long ears giving a soft flop. "Home is the best place to be when you're sleepy," he said wisely. "Full of warm blankets and soft pillows and happy dreams." Glimmer's light, which had been focused on the shadow, now cast its gentle beam a little further ahead, towards the source of the sleepy sounds. The path seemed to open up slightly, and through the trees they could see a faint, warm glow, different from the cool light of the moon or Glimmer's silver beam. It was the soft, golden light that spills from a window when someone inside is safe and sound and drifting off to sleep. The air around them seemed to grow even softer, imbued with a sense of peace and deep contentment. The scent of lavender, faint but unmistakable, drifted on the still air, a classic lullaby in fragrance form. The lost shadow began to move forward again, no longer drifting aimlessly, but with a gentle, sure purpose, drawn towards that warm light and the beloved, sleepy sounds. As they drew nearer to the edge of the woods, the world around them seemed to grow quieter and more profoundly sleepy. The sleepy sounds of the little owner became a little clearer, a soft sigh, a tiny mumble, the gentle rustle of bedclothes. Each sound was like a sweet note in a lullaby, pulling the lost shadow gently onward. The trees began to thin, and they could see a small, cozy cottage nestled in a clearing. Soft, yellow light spilled from one of its windows, creating a warm, inviting glow on the grass outside. A little garden path, bordered by sleepy flowers, led to the cottage door. The moon, now high in the sky, seemed to smile down on the peaceful scene. The air itself felt soft and velvety, like a well-loved blanket. Even the crickets seemed to be chirping more softly here, their song a gentle, rhythmic pulse that matched the feeling of growing drowsiness. Shade's steps became even slower, more deliberate, as if she were walking on clouds. Pip yawned a tiny, mouse-sized yawn, his eyelids feeling heavy. Dusty leaned a little more on his fern broom, a look of peaceful contentment on his gentle face. Glimmer's light softened even more, her task almost complete, her gentle glow now mingling with the warm light from the cottage window. The Lost Shadow felt an overwhelming sense of peace and homecoming washing over it. This was it. This was the place it belonged. They reached the edge of the woods and stood for a moment, looking at the cottage. It looked so peaceful, so safe. A light breeze rustled the leaves in the garden, carrying the sweet scent of honeysuckle and roses, flowers that loved the quiet of the night. Smoke curled lazily from the cottage chimney, a thin gray ribbon against the starry sky, suggesting a warm hearth within, now banked low for the night. The window with the light was slightly ajar, and from it the sleepy sounds were very clear. The Lost Shadow drifted towards it, its form becoming more defined, more itself, as it neared its owner. It was no longer a lost shadow, but a shadow about to be found. Shade, Pip, and Dusty watched from the edge of the garden, their hearts full. They had done their gentle work, guiding their little friend home. There was no need for words. Their shared silence was full of warmth and satisfaction. The world seemed to be holding its breath, waiting for the quiet reunion. Even the stars seemed to twinkle a little more softly, as if not wanting to disturb the perfect peace of the moment. The little shadow paused at the windowsill, just for a heartbeat. Then, as gently as a sigh, it slipped through the open gap and into the warm, familiar room beyond. Inside the room, a little child lay fast asleep in a cozy bed, nestled under a soft, blue blanket. One small hand was curled by a rosy cheek, and a contented smile played on their lips. The child was dreaming sweet, peaceful dreams. And there, on the wall beside the bed, where the child's shadow should have been, was an empty space, but not for long. The little lost shadow, now home, drifted silently across the room, drawn by an invisible thread of love and belonging. It moved past a sleeping teddy bear, past a pile of picture books, towards the bed, and then, with the softest of movements, it settled back into its rightful place, stretching and fitting perfectly beside the sleeping child, becoming one with the child's own dear form. It was as if it had never been away. The child stirred, just a tiny bit, and a soft sigh escaped their lips, a sigh of even deeper contentment, as if, even in sleep, they knew their shadow had returned. The room was filled with a profound sense of peace, a quiet joy. The little shadow was home, and all was right with the world. The faint scent of lavender from the garden outside seemed to fill the room, a gentle blessing on the sleeping child and their reunited shadow. Shade, Pip, and Dusty watched from the garden as the shadow disappeared inside. They saw the faint flicker as it rejoined its owner, and a shared sigh of happiness passed between them. Glimmer, her light now a very soft, barely their shimmer, pulsed gently in the sky above them. Her work was done. Home, Shade whispered, her voice full of soft satisfaction. Pip nodded, his eyes looking a little sleepy now. It's the best feeling, he agreed, his tiny voice full of warmth. Dusty smiled his gentle rabbit smile. Every shadow belongs with its sleeper, just like every star belongs in the sky, and every sleepy bunny belongs in its burrow. He leaned his fern broom against a tree, and now, he said softly, I think it's time for all good helpers to find their own sleepy spots. Shade stretched again, a long, luxurious, silent stretch. The night was peaceful, their task was complete. It was time for rest. The moon cast long, soft shadows from the trees, and the world felt tucked in and secure. The sweet scent of night flowers hung heavy and calming in the air, a natural perfume for peaceful dreams. The friends shared a look of quiet contentment, their hearts happy. And as Shade, Pip, and Dusty quietly made their way back to their own cozy corners of the night, perhaps you, too, little one, are starting to feel very, very sleepy. Your eyelids might be feeling heavy, like soft, velvet curtains wanting to close. That's perfectly all right. Let them grow heavier and heavier, softer and softer. Feel the warmth of your own cozy bed around you, like a gentle hug. Feel how soft your pillow is beneath your head, how warm and snug your blankets are. You are safe and sound, just like the little child in the story, reunited with their shadow. The night is a kind and gentle friend, wrapping the world in a blanket of quiet stars and peaceful dreams. Listen to the quietness around you, the soft, gentle rhythm of your own breathing, in and out, in and out. So calm, so peaceful. There's nothing you need to do, nothing you need to think about, except letting yourself drift, drift, drift away into a wonderful, deep sleep. Imagine Glimmer's soft, shy light twinkling just for you, a tiny, friendly star keeping watch while you sleep. Imagine Dusty's gentle sweeping, clearing a path for only the sweetest dreams to find their way to you. Close your eyes now, dear child, all the way. Let them rest. Feel the lovely, heavy feeling of sleepiness wash over you, like a warm, gentle wave from the tips of your toes, all the way up to the top of your sleepy head. Think of the soft, glowing moss in the quiet woods, pulsing with peaceful energy, and let that peace fill you up. Think of the sweet, sleepy scent of lavender and honeysuckle, lulling you into the deepest, most restful slumber. The little shadow is home, happy and content, and you are home too, in your warm, safe bed. There are no worries here, only quiet and calm, and the promise of beautiful dreams. Let all your thoughts become soft and fuzzy, like little clouds drifting across a moonlit sky. You are so comfortable, so relaxed. Every part of you is letting go, ready for sleep. The magical world of the story is fading gently, becoming part of your own sweet dreams. Just breathe softly and let yourself float away on a gentle, starry river, all the way to Dreamland. Sleep now, little one. Sleep deeply and peacefully. And may your dreams be filled with the softest light and the gentlest wonders. Good night.